1974, 19-year-old photographer Charles McCullough ventured into Crater Lake National Park in Oregon, hoping to capture the perfect winter shots. When he didn't return, his friends reported him missing. Searchers looked for months, braving snow and harsh terrain, but found nothing. A year later, hikers stumbled across something horrifying. Deep in the forest, 5 miles from the nearest road, they discovered Charles's belongings. Neatly placed jeans, socks inside them, shoes nearby. His backpack and camera were there too, but Charles himself was gone. Only fragments of bone remained, scattered nearby. There were no signs of animal attack, no explanation for how his clothes remained so perfectly intact while his body was reduced to nearly nothing. Experts couldn't agree. Was it exposure, wildlife, or something else? The mystery of how Charles ended up so deep into the wilderness and what exactly happened in those lonely woods remains one of the most haunting disappearances tied to America's parks. It was February of 1978 when 23-year-old Stephen Kubacki set out on a solo ski trip near Lake Michigan. The region was cold, barren, and almost otherworldly in its silence. When he didn't return, search teams quickly mobilized. His skis and poles were found neatly placed in the snow, footprints leading away for almost 200 yards, and then nothing. They simply stopped. No signs of a struggle, no broken branches, no drag marks, just a trail that ended abruptly, as if he had vanished into thin air. Search teams combed the frozen landscape for weeks. Planes scanned overhead, dogs were brought in, but Stephen had disappeared completely. His family mourned him as lost. And then, 15 months later, Stephen walked into his parents' house, alive, confused. He claimed he didn't remember where he had been. Here's where it becomes chilling. He was wearing clothes that weren't his, carrying a backpack filled with maps of places he swore he'd never been. Even stranger, he seemed healthy, well-fed and coherent. To this day, Stephen refuses to publicly discuss the missing 15 months of his life. Was it amnesia, abduction, or something far darker? The truth remains locked away with him. In 1928, a young newlywed couple, Bessie and Glenn Hyde, embarked on what was supposed to be a grand adventure, a honeymoon rafting trip through the Grand Canyon. They were last seen alive by a photographer near Hermit Rapid, smiling, confident, and full of life. Days later, their boat was discovered adrift on the Colorado River, perfectly intact. Supplies were still inside, but Bessie and Glenn were gone. Theories erupted. Some believed they drowned, swept away by the river's brutal currents. But if so, where were the bodies? Others whispered of something more sinister. The Bessie, rumored to be growing tired of Glenn's control, may have murdered him and escaped into a new life. Years later, an elderly woman claimed on her deathbed that she was Bessie Hyde, that she had indeed killed Glenn during a violent fight and disappeared forever. No proof has ever surfaced. Their story remains frozen in time, an unsolved tale of love, adventure, and death within one of the most breathtaking and dangerous landscapes in America.